Hi everybody, it's Olivia Blanchard, the brand builder, and I'm back in the United States, but getting ready to travel again. So before I get to the bottom of this post, let's talk about my schedule real quick. So if you're going to be in Atlanta, New York City, or Sydney, Australia in the next 2 weeks, we might actually be able to meet face to face. So the schedule is on this coming Saturday, I'm going to be in Atlanta at America's Mart for their big international gift show. Happens every July. On the 21st, I'm going to be in New York City for Gas Pedal's Super Genius Conference. Drew a blank there for a second. There's a lot of stuff going on around me, so I'm a little distracted. And I'm going to be there with Hugh McLeod, with Brian Solis, with a bunch of big names. So really, I'm very lucky to be there. And then on the 28th, I'm going to be in Sydney, Australia for the ADMA or ADMA conference. So that's going to be pretty cool. So if you're going to be in Atlanta, New York, or Sydney during those times, I would love to meet you, remove the screen, remove the Twitter, and actually connect face to face. But what I want to talk to you about today, or what I want to kind of, at least share with you guys today is a little bit of frustration and a word of caution when it comes to social media experts. Okay, we're still on this, unfortunately. A year and a half, maybe 2 years into the social media expert rush, or gold rush, whatever it's called. We're still dealing with a lot of snake oil, with a lot of people pretending to be what they're not. And I want to be really, really clear about this. I am not a social media expert. Chris Brogan even is not a social media expert. Amber Naslund is not a social media expert. None of us is a social media expert. We're pretty good at what we do. We have our own niches. We understand the space really well, but we're not experts yet. We haven't been doing this even as many years as we have, quite long enough to really consider ourselves expert. Even if we're often introduced as experts, and even if, I guess it's semantics. But even with us, we're very, very cautious about using the term expert when it comes to what we do and our level of expertise, knowledge, or savvy. But still, I keep running into individuals who sell themselves as experts and whose business cards tend to imply that they are. And here's where things get a little bit tricky and where things get a little bit dangerous. A lot of companies and consulting firms are starting to put forward positions that essentially give credence to someone's level of expertise within the organization when it comes to social media. Whether it's a social media director or a VP of social business, I'm starting to see this pop up. And in some cases, actually in many cases, it's well-deserved. It's people who've been in the space for a while, people like Valeria Maltoni, for example, who's been a blogger forever, who helped build the online community for Fast Company. And if I see her take a job that says social media VP or director or whatever, I will be just absolutely on cloud nine. But there are a lot of people as well who just kind of came out of the woodwork a few months ago because they found out they needed to start a blog and needed to start a Twitter account in order to at least be able to say, yes, I'm on Twitter and I'm on WordPress and I have an account on Facebook, therefore, I won't look stupid when somebody asks me how I got my expertise. And I ran into a particular individual whom I will not name today or ever. I'm not going to flame the guy. It's not necessarily his fault. But somebody who's been put forward by a fairly large company as as a VP of social business, actually. He's not a director, he's VP. And I looked at his resume, which was actually very well written, and I looked at his website, which is also very well designed. I started to get worried. I thought, I've got some competition with this guy. But then I dug a little bit deeper and found that he's only been on Twitter for a few months. He has very few followers. All he does is broadcast other people's work. And he hasn't done any real work. But yet he is in this very important position. His CV, his resume says that he's been a VP of social business for a very large and very respectable company. And he advises a number of companies in the art of integrating social media and building programs, even though the guy has zero background in the space. So my word of caution, and it's not, I don't feel any animosity towards the guy. I'm not jealous. It's not a vendetta. It's not like that. All this is an illustration of how easily someone can become an expert in this space through the validation of others who don't understand what an expert actually is, what expertise looks like or sounds like, and people who don't necessarily do their homework when it comes to hiring, promoting, or even validating someone's role as a social media leader or someone who can help build or manage a program or measure it for that matter. So be really, really careful. If you're a business, and that's an interesting sound for that car. If you're in a business and you work with consultants, or you're looking for a consulting firm who can help you build a social media program or enhance a social media program, be very careful. A lot of this stuff is just marketing and sales. When they have you, and it doesn't really matter if you can execute on the program or if the program's any good. So be really careful. Just because you're dealing with a very reputable company doesn't mean that the consultants that that company puts in front of you know what they're talking about. Do your homework. Don't let them sell you on a package that might not be exactly what it seems. Internally, same thing. If you want to hire or promote somebody to one of these positions, which I really recommend, don't necessarily dig from the outside. Find people within who understand the DNA of your company and help them help you build a program. But if you do that, also do your homework. Bring in some people from the outside to validate their credentials, maybe to train them a little bit, to find out what their strengths and weaknesses are. But do your homework. Just because somebody has a Facebook account, just because their website and their personal website tells you that they're experts, doesn't mean they are. Be very, very cautious. It's the 80-20 rule. All the people who claim to be social media experts, all the people who look and seem and sound like social media experts, all the people who have blogs, who might have been published, only 20% are actually the real deal, if that. The other 80%, snake oil. Be very, very careful. Don't fall into the trap that that particular company and all of its clients just fell into. All right, that's it. Signing off, and love to hear your comments.